Check the description for the following discount codes. Some of you might remember that pretty much a year ago to the day, looking at my old video, it was the 4th of June last year, I put up a video about how I fixed the misshifting problem with my Fanatec shifter, which is a really common problem. If you're not familiar with it, like you might go to put it into third, for example, and it will actually register that you've gone into first or sixth, or maybe you'll go into fourth and it will register that you've gone into second or sixth, sorry, the up one would be fifth gear. But yeah, basically you can sit there literally moving the shifter from third to fourth, and you'll see it registering like first, fifth, third every now and then, or like instead of going into fourth, it would be like second, sixth, fourth, sixth, just literally all over the place. And obviously this is of no real use when we're trying to race. You know, midway through a race, you go into first, or you think you do, and it actually registers reverse. You know, total race over moment, completely useless. Now, there are a couple of things that do physically go wrong with these shifters. One of them is there's a magnet inside, or a couple of magnets, that can come loose. Now, in the video I put up, I mentioned that my magnets weren't loose and that they were fine. And all I did was clean the little PCBs with some isopropyl alcohol and a brush, even though I couldn't see any dirt or any contamination or any corrosion or anything at all. It was literally minty fresh inside, even though it's a 3 or 4 or 5 year old shifter, it could be now. But I just did that and I put it back together and it worked perfectly. Now it's a year later and it started misshifting about a week ago. And I only got round to sort of looking at it a couple of days ago. One of the things some of the commenters on that first video spoke to me about was the potential for static build-up inside these shifters. Because I said in the video, I don't really know why cleaning it with isopropyl alcohol has fixed the problem, because I couldn't find anything wrong. And I also mentioned that maybe a year before that, I'd had this same issue occur, and I took it apart and put it back together, and it seemed to miraculously fix itself then as well. But yeah, someone suggested maybe it's getting static build-up inside the shifter housing, and that is affecting the hall sensors because they are magnetic. So if you get static build-up in there or magnetic interference, it's going to register the shift wrong. And I thought, well, yeah, this isn't a bad suggestion because I don't actually know what's fixed it. So when it happened again, you know, a week ago, I thought, right, let's just undo the 4 screws at the top. I'll put you some footage up from my original video where I'm just showing you the 4 Allen screws or bolts, sorry, that you undo. And all I did was lift it out and disconnect the little 2-pin plug that you see there. Literally just lift it out, hold it in my hands, and I've just put it straight back in again and done those 4 Allen bolts up. I then went into the Fanatec control panel, calibrated the shifter, and I had already tried to recalibrate the shifter as soon as I noticed this shifting problem the other day. Obviously it didn't work, didn't make any difference. So yeah, put it back together, calibrated the shifter, and lo and behold, the problem has gone. Now I've only been testing it for a couple of days, but immediately after just opening it up, taking the insides out, putting them back together, problem fixed. Now this can't be a coincidence because that's essentially all I did when I cleaned it with the isopropyl alcohol, and essentially all I did, you know, a year before that when I took it apart then and just put it back together, and it seemed to miraculously fix itself. So I think maybe there is some logic to this sort of static build-up scenario that was suggested to me in the comments, where perhaps over time we're getting a static field build up inside the shifter, and just by taking it apart, of course, you earth that static out. And I didn't get a shock or anything, but discharging what's built up inside. Now, again, it's only a theory, you know, and if this lasts another year or 6 months before I have to do it again, happy days, because it takes all of about 5 minutes to undo those 4 bolts, lift it up and put it back down inside again. Now, again, going back to the potential loose magnets issue, I had someone I think at least one person write in the comments of the last video, oh no, that's not the real fix. The real fix is to glue these magnets in place. Even though I'd said in my video, my magnets weren't loose, you know, and they were fine. But that is something to check, that the magnets that act upon the Hall effect sensors haven't come loose, because from what I read around the internet, that can happen. Another thing people suggest, that I mentioned in the previous video, is you put some insulating tape across one of the boards, because potentially it can short out against a metal surface. The clearance between those two surfaces is massive in terms of electronics. There's no chance, at least on my shifter, there's no chance that that board is contacting anything. And again, just like today and the previous time, the time before, all I'm really doing, lifting it out, I'm unplugging the little 2-pin plug for the micro switch where you can flick between sequential and H pattern, and I'm putting it back in again. You know, last time I cleaned it with isopropyl. This time, just for the sake of testing, undid the 4 screws, unplug, lift it up, look at it, put it back, do it up, and it seems to be working. So I thought that's just got to be worth sharing with people, because if it's as simple as that and it gets you another 6 months or a year before you just have to undo 4 screws, lift it up, put it down again, then that's a nice easy fix. Now it shouldn't be something we have to deal with anyway, and maybe depending what cockpit you have, how you've got your shifter secured, maybe it earths out differently from one situation to another, and perhaps you might not suffer with this. But for me, pretty much every year, so it seems, for the last 3 years, I'm having to pop this open, put it back together, recalibrate it to get rid of what actually looks like potentially static build-up now. Because aside from discharging static electricity by taking it apart, I'm not doing anything else. You know, this time around, I didn't even clean it. I didn't even remove any of the other components. I literally undid the 4 Allen bolts, lifted it up, held it in my hand, and put it straight back down again. And like, it hasn't missed a shift since over the last couple of days. I know it's only early days, but to me, this points to, you know, that was what was happening the last 2 times I took it apart as well. So I thought it was just worth sharing. And because someone asked me in the comments on that video only the other day, how's it going now, Cole, a year later? And I was like, by pure coincidence, mate, it's actually just started mis-shifting again, and this is what I've done. So I thought that prompted me just to throw this quick video together and give people a bit of an update as to whether that fix is still working. And the answer is it was, like, fine, and then all of a sudden not. And then all I've done is take it out, put it in, and now it seems to be working again. But it's something you can try. It doesn't cost any money. You just need a 4mm Allen key or 3mm Allen key, whatever it is, to give it a go, and maybe it will help some people out there just like it's helped me. Anyway, thank you for watching, and as always, take it easy.